Good evening and welcome to this evening's City Council meeting for February 3rd, 2020. I'll now call this meeting to order with a roll call from Madam Clerk.
Miller.
Here.
DeBoer.
Here.
Cruz.
Here.
Harding.
Here.
Dara.
Here.
Stiers.
Here.
Tiber.
Here.
All members present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, are there any agenda revisions, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Item 12 on the resolution calendar is being removed.
All right, thank you. So I'm removing item 12. Next item on the agenda is a special order of business. We have a public hearing on the proposed maximum levy for affected property tax levies for FY 2021. Is there a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have request for written communications from the city clerk. Do we have any?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. So next up, we will have a staff presentation from Director Rodenbeck.
Sure. Mayor and Council, just want to let everyone know that at committee meeting tonight, we did a presentation where we outlined the factors that went into the budget for FY21 and what the impact is on property owners. As part of that, actually, the requirement tonight is actually one of the new state requirements where we approve the maximum levy dollars, and this will actually be the first of 2 hearings that we'll have to have on the budget. So again, what we're doing tonight is approving the maximum levy, and what was presented at council at committee was when you factor in rollback and tax rate and valuations and all that, actually residential properties in Cedar Falls would see a 1% increase. Commercial and industrial would see 4.38% increase, and multi-residential would actually see a slight decrease in their taxes. One of the things that we talked about earlier tonight too was that by publishing the maximum resolution, the new requirement by the state, it's kind of confusing, and what was posted shows the 6.5% increase. And again, why that's kind of confusing is that that doesn't include all the levies. And also, that's why we like to kind of show and illustrate in committee what the real impact is to people when you take in your valuation, the rollback, and the rate. So again, that's the effect of the property tax proposed.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak on this issue? Seeing none, I will now move us to item 3, a resolution approving and adopting the maximum property tax dollars for affected property tax levies for FY 2021. And is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
And this requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. This moves us into old business. Item 4 is passing ordinance 2961, amending section 26, TAC 118 of the Code of Ordinances by removing property located at 4911 University Avenue from the R1 Residence District and placing the same in the C1 Commercial District pursuant to the provisions of a conditional zoning agreement upon its third and final consideration.
Motion to pass 2961.
Thank you. It's been motioned and seconded, and this requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item 5 is passing ordinance 2962, amending Chapter 23, Traffic Motor Vehicles of the Code of Ordinances relative to establishing parking regulations upon its third and final consideration. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded, and this does require a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Under new business tonight, we have our consent calendar. These items will be acted upon by a voice vote in a single motion without separate discussion unless someone from the council or the public requests that a specific item be considered separately. Are there any items the council wishes to pull?
14.
Item 14 will be pulled for, oh, that's under a resolution calendar, so we're just under consent. So anything under consent from 6 to 10. Okay, seeing none, is there anything from the public you wish to pull? Seeing none, I'll now read items in the consent calendar It's to receive and file the report of the mayor relative to appointment of the Administration, Public Works, Community Relations, and Planning Committees, which I had to do with the addition of Councilman Tiber. Item 7 is receiving and filing the council work session minutes of January 20th, 2020. Item 8 is receive and file the Committee of the Whole minutes of January 20th, 2020. Item 9 is receiving and filing departmental monthly reports of December. And then item 10 is approving applications for beer permits and liquor licenses. Is there a motion to approve these items?
So moved.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the list is our resolution calendar. These items will be acted on by roll call vote on a single motion without separate discussion unless someone from the council or public wishes that the item be considered separately. Are there items for discussion or for pulling? Item 14 on this one. And any other items from council? Any items for request from the public? Okay, I'll read all the items except for item 14. Item 11 is resolution approving and authorizing execution of the renewal of advertising agreement with Courier Communications. Item 13 is resolution approving and authorizing execution of 3 owner purchase agreements and 3 temporary construction agreements in conjunction with the Oak Park Sanitary Sewer Project. Item 15 is resolution approving the certificate of completion and accepting the work of Feldman Concrete for the 2019 sidewalk assessment project. Item 16 is a resolution approving the final statement of expenditures for the 2019 sidewalk assessment project. 17 is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of a stormwater maintenance and repair agreement relative to a post-construction stormwater management plan. Item 18 is resolution approving and accepting completion of public improvements in the Park Ridge Estates subdivision. 19 is a resolution approving and adopting the project priorities for the College Hill Visioning and Zoning Code update. 20 is a resolution setting February 17th, 2020 as the date of a public hearing on the proposed FY21 budget. And item 21 is resolution receiving and filing and setting February 17th, 2020 as the date for a public hearing on the proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the 12th Street reconstruction project. Is there a motion to approve these items?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded, and this requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We'll pull back to item 14, which is a resolution receiving and filing the bids and approving and accepting the low bid of K. Cunningham Construction Company for the downtown streetscape and reconstruction project. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
It's been motioned and seconded. I'll open for council discussion.
So, Mayor Brown, one of the common trends right now in sidewalk green.
Yeah, you're used to it.
One of the common trends right now in sidewalk reconstruction for downtown areas is to include heated elements for snow and ice control. And I just wanted to know if this project considered such things where it could be property owner funded or what have you to include that kind of amenity. It might aid in snow emergencies and other things that we must do to clear snow and ice.
Excellent. For answering, we have Director Schrage.
Sure. In this project, there's no heated elements included in the sidewalk. I know we've had inquiries about that in residential development areas, and at this time, it has not been implemented. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or council discussion? Okay. Seeing none, anything from the public? So it's been motioned and seconded, and this requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. The next item is allowing bills and payroll. Is there a motion to approve bills?
So moved.
It's been motioned and seconded, and this requires a roll call vote.
All voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next item is council referrals. Does anyone in the council have a referral to bring forward?
Mayor,
Yes.
I didn't follow the protocol correctly as far as getting this in before, but I had several people hit me up about the fact that it's caucus night tonight, and they would like to participate in the caucus, but they also wanted to be here. And I don't know if this has been discussed in the past or not, but if it's possible that we don't schedule council meetings on caucus night, I think the importance of voting would be worth us taking the action to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yes, so I've made a note for 2024, and I wish I'd thought about it for tonight. We had a similar discussion with council, or with staff, about Martin Luther King Day, since that's a day of service, having that date changed as well to the next night. So certainly looking at being amenable to schedules, and especially to holidays and events, absolutely would want to account for that. So, thank you. Seeing no other referral, oh yes, Councilor Timer?
Thank you, Mayor Green. Tragedy kind of struck the Cedar Valley on Saturday night when we lost, an avid bicyclist on Green Hill Road in Waterloo, Iowa, but it could have just as easily happened in Cedar Falls. And I just want to implore the council again to look at the possibility of removing snow and taking better care of certain trails that serve as vital transportation components for those that do not drive vehicles, as well as those that recreate. So I think it's never something that we want to use tragedy to implore action, but it is something that we do need to look at.
Is there a referral you'd wish to bring forward on that?
I'd like to refer looking at winter maintenance of certain trails in the city of Cedar Falls.
Okay, it's been motioned. Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, second from Councilman Dara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion?
Oh, that's true. Let's go to discussion. I apologize. One mistake tonight. I'll open a discussion. Councilor Cruz?
I guess whoever was here, it was about a year ago, we discussed expanding the trails that we cleaned for winter use, and I missed out on that, unfortunately, but I would like to know if anybody can refresh that might have been involved with that discussion at that time.
You're correct that approximately a year ago that was discussed, and I believe the previous director, Mark Ripplinger, talked about there was one addition of Green Hill Road, about a mile stretch, that was added to the program. And it outlined all the cost for the snow removal for everything in the program.
I believe there were several other, Center Street was included as well. I believe the new trail out there was plowed, so I thought we added several different trail sections, but.
And I'll step in here with the process. What we're discussing, or what's being pulled, is whether or not to refer the item itself. So rather than get into discussion of the merits of this issue, it would be the merits of moving forward with the referral. So do we have any other items for discussion for that?
No.
Okay. And then there's a question too. Is this being referred to committee? Is that where you'd want to see that move forward to? Okay. So we have a motion to refer winter trails maintenance to committee for discussion.
If I may, do you remember, Chase, if, wasn't there going to be a recap brought to the council? As part of that last discussion, we voted to add a couple sections of trail, and then staff was going to come back to council for this next year or something along those lines. Mr. Gaines, do you recall that?
I don't recall that portion of it. I do recall that we did have a pretty extensive presentation by Mr. Ripplinger, and that was about a year ago, but we can dig that up and have that presentation again.
Okay. So it's been motioned and seconded to refer this to the committee. Any other discussion? Then all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So this will be sent to committee. And yes, please.
As long as we're talking about doing referrals, I see Mr. Stoddard's in the audience, and I know that last council meeting there was some discussion regarding policy, regarding some Sturgis events. And as long as we're making referrals, I'd like to also see if we can get that policy discussion on a referral into a committee.
So it's been motioned to refer the policy regarding other events being held on Sturgis Falls weekend to committee. So it's been motioned. Is there a second? Second. Yeah, it's been motioned and seconded. Open it to discussion. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Any other referrals for tonight?
Mr. Mayor, I just have a question. I made a rather ineloquent last week regarding setting up a committee of public safety, maybe a couple council members, and school personnel to begin looking at, are there some common issues at each of our schools as far as dropping off and picking up kids. It's at the beginning of school and the end of school, it's pretty dicey around those schools, and I just think we should look at that. And I don't know, I didn't see that on our list of referrals, so I'm wondering where that went.
I can address that if you like.
Certainly.
What we did do is you made a reference to one school in particular. I believe that was before the referral. And so we did meet with that school and discuss any concerns they had around their school. And we've also reached out to the administrative offices of the schools and are looking for some assistance from them and taking a look at the individual schools or seeing if they have concerns. So we are working on that at this time.
Thank you. Any other council referrals? Then I'll move it to council updates. Do we have any referrals from, or updates from council? Seeing none?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Would now be a good time just to announce the work session that we're having on February 17th?
Certainly.
Okay.
So in the next council day, which is the 17th of February, we'll be having a work session here at City Hall to have the Director of Public Safety give an update to staff or excuse me, to council, particularly to the new council members, on where we're at with the public safety model. And from there, that'll be the first part of the discussion. The second part will be council discussion of the way we want to proceed for what I'm envisioning are additional discussions sometime in early March. We haven't set a date for that yet, but this first section would be to provide that update that was requested by council in our goal setting session. So that taken care of, then we would discuss what sorts of topics we believe are necessary to bring up in the later sessions, if we want to have it over 1 or 2 days, and then some particulars about where that session will be held, what it will look like. So that's not going to be open to public input or public discussion, but would certainly welcome public observation of that deliberation process, as is the case with all of our work sessions. And I think that's all I can really say for now. Thank you. Moving on into staff updates, I will turn it over to Mr. Gaines.
Mr. Mayor, at this time, I'd like to ask Director Olson to give an update on our cameras in the downtown and Hill area.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we've started what we call a voluntary camera registration process for citizens in Cedar Falls. You know, there's a lot of personal home cameras available now to residents, and you're seeing more and more use of those personal cameras. I think Ring doorbell is one that a lot of people might be familiar with. The technology is getting better, the options are better, the costs are going down, so we're seeing a lot of that. We've actually had some crimes occur in neighborhoods where we've had neighbors come forward and say, hey, I have a Ring doorbell, I'll take a look at it, and the vehicle will drive by their house, or the individual that entered their car in their driveway. We've got that on video, or what you've maybe seen a lot of on some of the news is people taking porches. They're calling them the porch pirates off of porches, packages that were delivered. So we started January 1, we started a voluntary camera registration program for the residents. What they can do is they can log into our city website, and I'll explain that. We'll put a visual on the screen here in a minute. But we're asking people to voluntarily register their cameras if they want to do that. We will not have access to the video. We will only call them if something occurs in their neighborhood and we think they may have video that would be useful to us. Then they can take a look and send us that video if they choose. So again, I just want to make that very clear. We don't have access to the cameras. We don't want access to the cameras. But if you want to register it, it could certainly help us with your neighborhood. If you have a crime in your neighborhood. So I'll just briefly go through how you can log in and register, because it's very simple. If you go to the cedarfalls.com website and you scroll down, there's on the right side of the page, and you'll see it on the screen, it says popular links. If you go down a few, I believe it's the third one there, it says voluntary camera registration. You can click that, and then there's the process. Now, that explains a little bit about the program and what we're doing. So that's kind of some helpful information. If you have any more questions, you can certainly call the Public Safety Building and we'll explain more. But then you can go through and click on a link and go ahead and register your camera if you want. And again, we won't have access to your video. We are just looking for information. And this has been done in some other communities in the U.S. so we can know who has cameras, so we know who to call should we have something occur in a certain area.
All right, thank you. It's a program that's pretty common throughout the country. It's becoming more and more, and we're adding on to our Cedar Falls to that
Certainly.
list of
Yeah,
capabilities.
cameras are beginning to be very, very useful in helping to solve crime and identify people. So we certainly want to keep using the tools that are available to us to help make Cedar Falls a better place.
All right, thank you very much. Any other updates from staff? Okay, so that moves us into public forum. Speakers will have one opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes on topics germane to city business. As in the past, if you get to 30 seconds, council has the opportunity to extend to 7 minutes by saying 7 minutes, and I'll allow that. So does anyone from the public wish to speak tonight? Yes, Mr. Stoddard.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm Jay Stoddard, 228 Mary Hill Drive, Cedar Falls, Iowa. I'm president of Sturgis Falls. I guess the reason I was coming here tonight, I've been informed that the proper procedure is to go through a council referral, which I guess goes to committee and so forth to discuss the competing events with Sturgis Falls that we had concerns with regard to our new 5-year agreement with the city. So I guess that's already been voted on so that's already happened. So I'll spare you all me having to go through this presentation again. Thank you very much.
You're so persuasive, you didn't even have to speak.
Didn't wait for the third.
All right, excellent. Anyone else wish to speak in public comment tonight? Okay, with that being the case, then we are at the end. Yes, yes. Thank you.
I do not have an update for tonight, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our council agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been motion and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We are adjourned.